Hello, my name is Frank Morris, and my topic is what recommendations would you make for reducing school crime, including violence and bullying? Let's begin. In recent times, parents, policymakers, and school officials alike have been tasked with the issue of analyzing and addressing the problem of juvenile delinquency. As the problem of juvenile delinquency continues, it becomes more apparent that something needs to be done to address the conditions that exacerbate the issue. The problem is particularly devastating in communities with less resources that are unable to afford special interventions. School is an important beginning place for understanding juvenile delinquency because it serves as a breeding ground for several stressors that lead to instances that cause crime, such as violence, bullying, and theft. By exploring a strategic support model, incident reporting system, and prevention programs, I intend to engage the question of how to reduce school crime through a variety of practical solutions. Firstly, we might find it useful to investigate school-related stressors as a method of framing the problem. According to Agnew and Brezina, school-related stressors associated with delinquency include low academic performance, little school involvement, low attachment to school, poor relationship with teachers, low educational goals, dropping out of school, and school misbehavior. Here it is clear that many of these stressors might be explained by delinquency theories. For example, according to the strain theory, when juveniles go through something stressful, it can cause them to become upset and to channel that emotion towards delinquency. If a child were to feel as though they are struggling academically and they couldn't get ahead, it could cause them to deprioritize school altogether and participate in illegal activities such as drug usage as an escape. Another example is the labeling theory, which says that people who are labeled as delinquent are often viewed as bad people, which can lead to their rejection. This in turn increases their likelihood to conform to other people's perception of them. This could occur in a situation where a teacher regularly scolds and labels a student for their misconduct, causing the student to rebel against the teacher and others do crime, ultimately reinforcing the negative relationship. Agnew and Brazina also state that longitudinal studies controlling for external variables indicate a modest causal relationship between the school experiences, such as the one previously mentioned. This suggests that although in-school experiences may play a role in affecting a juvenile's likelihood for committing a crime, it is important to acknowledge external variables outside of school that can both lead to these stressors and or exist on their own. This means that there is no single underlying cause of school-related crime and misbehavior, and as such, there's no simple universal solution. The only effective approach to addressing juvenile delinquency in school appears to be to analyze the specific deficiencies in the school place and act accordingly while selecting appropriate intervention strategies. The following methodologies address the issue of juvenile delinquency at a structural level, allowing for more opportunities for potential future offenders to receive the support they need. According to the National Institute of Justice, one possible solution might be to implement the school wide positivist behavioral interventions support model. This model divides students into three separate categories and uses positive discipline as opposed to negative discipline based on the student's support needs. This provides a category based model for which to address undesired behaviors at different levels. It also makes it easier to identify patterns in delinquent behavior while professionally isolating and helping the most at risk students. In this model, teachers should strive to form personal relationships with their students to influence positive behaviors and encourage behavioral compliance. Categorization begins at the start of the school year. Teachers should be very clear about what their behavioral expectations are to prevent disruptive behavior. The students that show no signs of violating these principles compose 80% of the first category and are placed in the first tier. Students that sit at this level will have shown no indicators for needing additional support. Students in the second tier should compose approximately 5 to 15% of non-compliant students. These are the students that show signs of disruption or unwanted behavior and may be referred to the school's counselor or nurse for a physical or mental evaluation. The third tier is the smallest, at 5% of students, offering a more targeted support system, including mental health services and providing safety plans for kids that may be a danger to themselves or others. In a report from the Journal of Positive Behaviors and Interventions, researchers found that schools that implemented this model resulted in less school suspension than schools that did not. They also concluded that the model carries sufficient experimental documentation to be classified as evidence-based, warranting large-scale implementation. Simply put, separating students based on their needs while using positive disciplining has been proven as an effective deterrent for unwanted behaviors. Another plausible recommendation for reducing school crime among juveniles includes the introduction of an incident reporting system. According to researchers Rubel and Ames, the creation of an incident reporting system can help construct a topic for formal action plans for existing school officials to implement. A benefit of this approach is that it utilizes existing resources such as established administration assistants, faculty, staff, parents, and community representatives, allowing for a variety of perspectives to enter the monitoring process and subsequently the decision making process. The incident reporting system works by tracking data on a number of school incidents and disciplinary infractions during the school year. The system categorizes the incidents by type and provides information such as the location of the incident, when it happens, the type of offenders, and common victims. The goal of this approach is to gear efforts away from treating incidents as isolated events and more as systemic problems. According to Agnew and Brzezina, one common problem in the criminal justice system for juvenile delinquents is that the system does not commonly enforce appropriate tough sanctions against serious offenders. They state, with one example from data from 2013 indicating that 74% of aggravated assault cases were formally processed and only 1% were judicially waived to adult court. And even out of that 1%, most of these juveniles are not receiving severe sanctions. Implementing an incident reporting system would solve this problem in two ways. First, repeat offenders who are not able to stay out of trouble would be more closely monitored and reported accordingly, allowing less room for crime patterns to reach the point of judicial punishment. Second, the reporting system allows for more actors to become engaged in the problem-solving process, creating more opportunities for intervention. According to the Department of Justice Archives, chronic juvenile offenders make up less than 10% of juvenile offenders, but are responsible for two-thirds of all violent offenses. This means that these violent acts start at an early age and are usually detected. However, since these are treated as isolated events, the perpetrators continue on the same path after receiving punishment. The data also shows that arrests of serious violent crimes increase at age 12, doubling between ages 13 and 14. The implementation of an incident reporting system could serve as a critical function in identifying violent patterns and intervening before a violent career ensues. Next, the best way to prevent crime in schools may be to place a greater emphasis on prevention and rehabilitation programs. Agnew and Brzezina state that prevention and rehabilitation programs are able to reduce offending rates by upwards of 50%, which supports the idea that an effective way to reduce crime is to promote positive influence away from crime before it begins. They also include that these programs are cost effective, costing less than get tough approaches. Prevention programs are both relevant and plausible, considering that violence and delinquency are often linked to early disruptive behaviors. These issues can manifest later into developmental problems such as substance abuse, dropping out of school, and teen pregnancy. One of the key elements of this kind of developmental prevention is that programs are aimed at suppressing or eliminating risk factors that increase the probability of a children becoming delinquents later in their life. These risk factors are closely related to stressors, such as poor academic performance and low school engagement, as mentioned earlier in the examples with delinquent theories. According to researchers Lieber and Heave, longitudinal studies in the Netherlands have thoroughly tested preventative programs that offer insight into how we can reduce future school crime. One of said programs is called OSTAP, with the focus on improving educational chances for children in disadvantaged neighborhoods. The central factor here would be academic failure, as it often serves as a precursor to delinquent activity as a result of not being sufficiently acclimated to school curriculum. OPSTAT prevents this by stimulating the cognitive ability and language development of children. They host a range of structured curriculum and learning activities, and when compared to a control group, have shown significant improvements in school achievement and behavior. Another example, based on the Norwegian school studies, is Taxspell, which focus on prevention of children disruptive behaviors and the promotion of task-oriented behaviors and a positive educational climate in the classroom. The aim here is to decrease early disruptive behaviors such as attention deficit hyperactivity problems and enhance positive behaviors at an early stage. The program is group-oriented and consists of regular lessons in which children learn how to learn through play how to better follow rules in the classroom. After a period of orientation, the teacher divides the class into different teams. Team players encourage each other to follow the rules to become eligible for a reward. One key to the effectiveness of this program is that the rules can be adjusted to target a variety of common classroom issues. As a result of the intervention, teachers learn to pay better attention to positive child behaviors. In addition, the children receive attention when they show positive behaviors, reinforcing their respect for the teacher and authorities within academia. If you were to compare this approach to the one previously, where teachers are scolding using negative discipline, this could be seen to have profound benefits in the way that relationships are formed between teachers and students. This program was evaluated in a quasi experimental design with improvement showed in task orientation and rule violation. The behaviors of children in the experiment group improved, while the behaviors of children in the control group became worse. The program has been evaluated even with follow up studies showing that children with moderate levels of problem behaviors responded best to intervention. Enlisting the support of the federal government and organizations and sponsoring programs such as these could prove to be critical in addressing stressors that link juveniles to delinquency. Overall, through exploring the strategic support model, incident reporting system, and prevention program, it is clear that there is much that can be done by the community to more effectively deal with juvenile delinquency. It is also clear that existing structures have many points of intervention for juveniles who are disproportionately affected by both in and out of school experiences. Given that community issues regarding juveniles are unique, structured models may prove best in establishing practices that highlight high risk behaviors while identifying recurring crime patterns.